Hello, and welcome to Beyond Books, where we talk about books and beyond. I'm your host. I'm Renee. There she is, co host Raina. And snack of the day today is Canine Carryouts, taco flavor. Happy Taco Tuesday and Happy Tag Tuesday, because that's what we're going to talk about today. Today I am going to do the tag that is called Are TBRs Fun or Not? So let's see what we think. Let me get to the prompts here, and there are quite a few with this one. Oh, but before we do that, this tag was originally created by Candy at the Great Library Rabbit Hole, and I was tagged by Alan at Big Hard Books and Classics, and Pat at Book Chat with Pat. So now here are the prompts, and let's see what we can do. The first one is, how many books are currently or normally on your TBR? Well, normally I would say that my average is about 5. And that is probably the average of books that I read in a month, maybe a little bit more, because I don't mind adding something to my TBR sometimes. But yeah, oftentimes I'll put 5, and that doesn't include my book of the month necessarily. Sometimes I may know what my book of the month is when I do my TBR, but sometimes I haven't even chosen it yet. So I don't even know if I'm going to choose one that month. So I'll generally put about 5 on the TBR. Those are usually the ones that I will talk about when I do my TBR video. Number 2 is, how do you choose TBR books, and have you ever gamified your TBR with things like prompt jars, TBR games, or that kind of thing? I have never gamified my TBR yet. I'm not saying I never would, but yeah, I've never done that yet. But I do have a behind the scenes process for choosing my books. I try to go for some variety with the books so I don't, bore myself or my audience by just kind of picking from the same old stuff. I take the books I plan to read and I put them on a separate shelf. And that way I know which ones I have there. And yeah, I pick from that shelf one by one until I get through them for the month or not. Prompt number 3 is, do you have reading areas of focus to choose books for? And if yes, how many? Okay, so usually it would be my book of the month, and that's a new or at least usually pretty recent release. And then I'll try to choose like a classic, since I know I'm doing one that's, a fairly new release. And that I'll generally choose from my own library shelves, or from the library, although recently it's mainly been from my own bookshelves because I've gathered up quite a few books here. Um, I choose at least one banned book. And I usually will look up a little bit of preliminary information on the band just so I have an idea in my head of maybe what I'm going to start talking about even before I read the book. And then, of course, if I've promised someone a buddy read, I get that book onto my TBR, and I'll usually talk about that a little bit again when I do my TBR video. And then I just choose 1 or 2 that interest me. And that I feel like will fit in well for that month with what I already have chosen. For instance, if there happens to be a Stephen King in that group of books, I won't pick another Stephen King. I'll pick something different from my shelves to kind of round out the TBR. And, I usually kind of keep in mind that maybe I need once in a while a book that's on the lighter side, because often the things I read are, generally pretty serious. So, yeah, I'll try to keep in mind that I need to lighten up once in a while, keep the reading fun and interesting. And then occasionally I will also read a book to commemorate a certain month or day, like Pride Month, for instance, Black History Month, um, autism awareness, things like that. Those are some that I've done in the past. So, prompt number 4, does a TBR help you focus? And I'm going to say yes, it certainly does. I'm always willing, though, to bump something off my TBR and pick up something that maybe I just purchased or an additional new release or something like that. I'm not afraid to kind of mix it up at the last minute if I want to. And then when I do my wrap up at the end of the month, I just say, yeah, I added this one, or yeah, I bumped something else off, and I chose this. I really wanted to read it, so yeah, there's usually some reason. But for me, I guess I would say my TBR is kind of a guide. It's not just etched in stone, and that's it. So, number 5, the question is, do you suffer from the book noise of a TBR? We all get that buzz in our ear, don't we? I'm going to say yes, but I don't really want to refer to it as suffering from the noise of a TBR. For me, it's more like a soft whisper than a sharp whistle. So it's not unpleasant for me, and books have always called to me, so it's not an unpleasant feeling. Do you give your TBR a time limit, and does a TBR make you stress about reading quickly enough? Um, my time limit is the month that I said I would read it in. So I may or may not carry an unread book now over into, say, the following month. um, I just reevaluate for the following month and see, do I want to maybe keep that book on a TBR? Do I still feel like there's a good chance I'm going to read it? Or am I thinking, yeah, gee, that got bumped already and now I have some new stuff, so it's only going to end up bumped again. I put it back on the shelves. Or if I do for some reason bump it 2 months in a row, back on the shelves it goes. Or I even sometimes consider maybe donating it at that point. Do I really need that book just to keep putting on a TBR and never reading? Probably not. Um, so then, does my TBR, the next part of the question was, does my TBR make me stress? And I wouldn't say that. No, not in general. There are definitely months where I read much less than usual. And then there are months where I read more than I normally do, or more than I even expected to. So my average to read as far as books per month is about 6-ish. But if one month I only read 4, I don't get worried, because I know that there will come a month where, I'll read 8, or even, the rare occasion where I read 9 of them. So, life is life. And I mean, there's some things that you really can't put on hold no matter how much you want to read. So, certain things have to become priorities, but, I'm also not shy about admitting that. So again, at the end of the month, if I've only read 4 books, well, I might say, there just were other things to do this month. So yeah, but we only got to 4, or maybe there's 4 that were a little bit thicker or more difficult for me to read for some reason. So yeah, we only did 4 this month. So it's not a big deal to me one way or the other. Prompt number 7, do you have rebellion syndrome? Not wanting to read a book because you put it on your TBR and now you feel like you have to read it. And I'm going to say, yeah, I occasionally have had a bit of that. going on. I think that my way of telling those books that they don't hold any power over me, though, is to be willing to swap them out for something new. So, if they do, if the soft whisper gets a little bit louder and the talking gets to be a little bit too much, I'll say, listen, I can just bump you for something else. So, and I'll just go ahead and do it. So, prompt number 8, do you keep books on your TBR until they are read, or do you swap the TBR around regularly? And I think I kind of, answered that a little bit. For me, it's swapping for sure. If I don't read a book that I have in my possession, like I say, probably within a year or so, I'll consider donating it or giving it to someone who I feel, might be more interested in it and has a chance of reading it within the next few months, as opposed to me who, hasn't for a long time. So, and also that's kind of my limit on keeping a little free library book. I try not to even go a year with it, but occasionally I know that I have. But if I haven't read it in that time, I'll just go ahead and return it to the little free library one way or the other, because I just don't want to keep. I know I end up putting more in the little free library than I take out, but still, I don't want to just keep it and hold it here without hold it hostage without reading it when somebody else could be reading it. So, number 9 is, have you ever killed a book by having it on your TBR too long? And I'm going to say that I was kind of doing that when I first started doing these monthly TBRs, because I wasn't really used to it. And I found that, it's just not worth it to keep the book on there. So 2 months without being read, and it goes back in my pile of selections, or again, considered donating. So prompt number 10, do you have a tick list for your TBR to tick off books as you read them? And no, I actually don't really do it that way, other than Goodreads, where you can mark a book as want to read. And then once you do go ahead and read it, you can put it either in currently reading or, your read pile. So, other than that, and that's what I use when viewers and other booktubers suggest books to me to read. I'll check off want to read on the Goodreads site, so that I can always run a little list by my want to reads every so often and see what I have on there that maybe I do have and could be reading, or that I think, yeah, that was a book I really want to read, and I want to maybe go out and make a effort to actually get it and read it within the next couple of months or something. So, I keep track of that there. Number 11, what one change do you think would help your TBR be more fun? That's a fair question, and I'm going to answer it this way. I'm going to go by what you have told me as viewers. Viewers have been asking for a shelf tour for a long time now, and I've avoided it for a bit, actually, because I didn't have that many books. When I first started my channel, I had also just moved from Florida. So I had purged a lot of stuff, including a lot of books. So now that I've built up a good amount of books again, I think that I may do this. I may start showing, say, a shelf at a time. I have them basically in cubbies here in this room. So I would show you maybe a cubby at a time, or even there's quite a few books that could fit in the cubby, maybe even half a cubby at a time, and make a little stack and show you, from this stack, pick a book for me to read and put on my TBR this month. And so, we can see if we can get that accomplished. And that will have, kill a couple of birds with one stone in a way, because I'll be showing what's on my shelves, and I'll also be giving my viewers a chance to be a little more involved in the TBR process. So, we'll try that and see how it works. In fact, my plan is that I have a video that will post on Thursday, June 12th, And in it, I talk about all of the Book of the Month selections that I've made in the past 18 months, and I rank them and that kind of thing. It came out good. It's a nice video. And also in that video, I show a big stack of Book of the Month books that I purchased at library sales and things like that. And so far, I've read very few of those books. So for July, I'll get out that stack again. And from that stack, I'll let the viewers start choosing a book to put on my July TBR. So how about that? So prompt number 12 is the final conclusion. Are TBRs fun or not? Well, I'm going to say that they are fun. Um, I like to stay organized, and I'm basically a goal oriented person, I think. And I think that having a well planned out TBR kind of suits me. So, it works for me. And when it doesn't, I think I've shown that I'm willing to switch it up. So, yeah, I think that's the key there. Now, the next prompt is to tag some people, and I will tag some people in the description. Excuse me. I'll tag in the description. We'll do the last snap for the road. And in the meantime, I will say that if you like my content, please be sure and subscribe and give me the old thumbs up. I really appreciate that. You can check out Raina's Buy Me a Biscuit page if you'd like. And if you want to send a treat her way, there's a link in the description. I've got some pictures there of Raina and of another dog that we rescued one time. I want to put all my dogs that we've ever had up on that Buy Me a Biscuit page. So yeah, that'll be fun. And just a reminder, if you'd like to check out Donna's Etsy store, it's called DC Ceramics. And there are some wonderful coffee mugs and honey pots, sponge holders, candle holders, bowls, and things like that to choose from. She has some new styles there, so please go ahead and check it out. The link is going to be in the description for that as well. I want to thank all of you very much for watching, and have a great Tag Tuesday. Take care.